My name is Danielle Parker, and I am 31 years old. Until 3 months ago, I believed family was the one constant you could always count on. I'm a graphic designer here in Austin, Texas, and the life I've built, or thought I'd built, was centered around that belief. The night of my mother's birthday dinner at Bella Nate, an upscale Italian restaurant downtown, started like any other family celebration. I'd spent weeks planning it, securing the private dining room with its beautiful exposed brick walls, coordinating with the chef on the menu, even selecting the perfect floral arrangements myself. The air was filled with the scent of garlic and rosemary, laughter bouncing off the walls as relatives caught up. For the first hour, everything felt perfect. Then my father stood up, tapping his wine glass with a silver fork. The room gradually quieted. What he said next would change everything. "We're taking back the house you're living in," he declared, his voice flat and cold. "It's legally ours. You have 48 hours to pack your things and leave." The silence that followed was deafening. I stared at him, my mind struggling to process the words. "What are you talking about?" I finally managed, my voice trembling with disbelief. He gave a casual shrug as if he just commented on the weather. "We can discuss the details after we cut your mother's cake." My mother sat beside him, her eyes fixed on her napkin, refusing to meet my gaze. I didn't wait for dessert. I grabbed my purse and walked out, my heels echoing sharply on the restaurant's hardwood floors. Each step fueled the fire burning in my chest. That house wasn't just four walls. I'd poured $35,000 of my own money into renovations, spending countless weekends sanding floors, painting walls, and turning it into a home. What my parents didn't realize was that their cruel ultimatum would unravel a web of family secrets decades in the making. Driving home through Austin's brightly lit streets, my hands shook on the steering wheel. How could they do this? The house on Maple Avenue had been my sanctuary for 6 years. I remember moving in after graduate school, my parents presenting it as a temporary arrangement until I got on my feet. They'd given me a key, hugged me, and told me it was theirs, but I could stay as long as I needed. I'd taken them at their word and spent the next 6 years and every spare dollar making it beautiful. The custom kitchen cabinets I'd saved for over 2 years to install, the drought-resistant landscaping I planted myself, the new roof I financed after last year's hailstorm. Every corner of that property bore the mark of my care and investment. That night, sleep was impossible. I paced the living room, my mind racing through every interaction, every conversation I'd ever had with my parents about the house. Something felt wrong, deeply wrong. At 2 a.m., I found myself climbing the pull-down ladder to the attic, determined to find answers in the boxes of family documents stored there. The Texas heat had turned the space into an oven, but I barely noticed as I sorted through decades of paperwork. Beneath Christmas decorations and my old college textbooks, I discovered a metal lockbox I'd never seen before. My hands trembled as I worked the rusted latch open. Inside, nestled between old photographs and utility bills, was a faded manila envelope labeled Property Records, Maple Avenue. My breath caught in my throat as I pulled out the documents. The deeds showed the original owners weren't my parents. They were my grandparents, Margaret and Robert Parker. And handwritten in the margin in my grandmother's distinctive script were the words, "For our granddaughter Danielle upon our passing." The world seemed to tilt around me. Had my entire life in this house been built on a foundation of lies? The next morning, I called my lawyer, Sarah Jenkins. We'd worked together previously on a contract dispute with a client, and I trusted her completely. Her voice was calm but urgent when she called back with the initial findings. "Danielle, I ran a preliminary check. There's a $5,000 personal loan taken out in your name last November from Lone Star Credit Union." I nearly dropped the phone. This wasn't just about the house anymore. This was identity theft. While I was still processing this information, my phone buzzed with an alert from my home security system. The camera feed showed my parents on my front porch jangling their old keys uselessly in the new locks I just installed hours earlier. "Open this door, Danielle," my father shouted, his face flushed with anger. My mother stood slightly behind him, arms crossed tightly. They left after 10 minutes of pounding, but not before my father yelled toward the camera, "This isn't over." The text started immediately after. My father's demands wrapped in guilt, my mother's messages claiming they needed their house to recover from financial ruin caused by my sister's failed boutique business. The truth finally came from an unexpected source, my Aunt Claudia, calling from Houston. She explained how my grandparents' will specifically left the Maple Avenue property to me and how my parents had concealed this for years. They'd been the executors of the estate with a legal duty to transfer the title to me when I turned 25, but they'd never fulfilled that responsibility. Instead, they'd collected rent from me for the first 2 years, $1,200 a month, before generously telling me I could live there rent-free, all while letting me pour thousands of dollars into improvements for a house they knew was rightfully mine. Armed with this information, Sarah and I filed an emergency motion to block their claims. The investigation uncovered even more disturbing details. My parents had secretly filed a forged deed amendment 6 months earlier, attempting to add my father's name to the property records. They'd also taken out 2 additional loans totaling $15,000 using my personal information. The court case that followed exposed everything: the concealed will, the identity theft, the forged documents. The judge ruled decisively in my favor, awarding me full ownership and ordering my parents to pay full restitution for all unauthorized loans and a portion of my legal fees. In the aftermath, I made the difficult decision to sell the house. Though it was legally mine, every room echoed with betrayal. The sale brought nearly $300,000, money I placed in new accounts my family could never access. I moved into a modern apartment in downtown Austin, and for the first time, I felt truly at home somewhere, free from their manipulation and lies. The social fallout was swift and severe. My parents' reputation in our community crumbled. Neighbors who had once welcomed them now crossed the street to avoid them. My sister, who had publicly shamed me throughout the ordeal, began sending apologetic texts that I chose not to answer. Some bridges, once burned, cannot and should not be rebuilt. This painful experience taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. Trust must be continually earned, even from family. Your security and peace are worth fighting for, no matter who stands against you. I emerged from this battle not just with financial independence, but with the unshakable knowledge that I am strong enough to protect myself and my future. If you're facing a similar situation, know that you have the strength to stand up for what's rightfully yours. Your family should be your foundation, not your liability. Document everything, seek legal counsel, and remember that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's essential for your survival. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel for more real stories about reclaiming your power and setting healthy boundaries. I read every comment and would love to hear your thoughts and experiences below. Remember, you're not alone in these struggles, and your courage to stand up for yourself could inspire someone else to find their own strength.